Hello. Okay. In case you're wondering why I'm sitting in the dark, because it's so warm here in Sydney right now. Like, I refuse to turn on the light. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it in the dark. It's a lot cooler. It saves me from sweating all over the place. Actually, if you want a better view quality, Instagram might be a good place. It's actually not too bad. Hello, Instagram Live people. All right. Well, this is a podcast live, so I just want to get that out of the way, and then we can record this podcast. Okay. Let's wait for 2 minutes, and that way at least I will remember. You would think with a person like me who loves pens so much, I will have a pen somewhere to write down. All right, I'm just gonna have to remember this. 2 minutes. Hello. Welcome to this episode of the Womanly Way podcast. And also, welcome to season 2. Oh my goodness, I'm actually really excited. The timing is perfect and the alignment is impeccable, I just have to say. And let me start by explaining why season 2, and I promise it's actually really aligned to the topic that I want to discuss with you guys today. So there's been a few changes in my world, in the podcast world, and one of the biggest changes is we're now under a different media company, Extraordinary Media. The aim is really so we can, I guess, it's more about connection. It's allowing us to connect to a wider network family, to other podcasts. What I'm struggling with is other podcasters or other podcast hosts, other people who are doing podcasts, who are doing an amazing work. So I'm super excited about this. The other thing that I'm super excited about is also season 2. Oh, I might have to readjust this actually. All right, just hold on a second, guys. Let's see. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Okay. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's much better. Okay, I think we'll start again. So George has been playing around with my mic, so it's completely out of whack. I'm just looking at the bar, and that's why I'm not talking properly, because I was just looking at my sound bar. I'm like, okay, definitely going to blow the mic again, and I don't think Shane's going to be very happy with me. So I think we're good now. Just let me double check. Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3. Test. I think this is going to be okay. Let's just see. Okay. Yeah, I think we're all good now. Okay, fantastic. Let's do this. And let's start again. So we're at 4 minutes. Let's just wait until 5, and then we'll start again. Well, as you can tell, I'm quite excited, right? Hello. Welcome to this episode of the Womanly Way podcast. I am your host, Lala Angela Wang. And this is not just any episode. This is actually the first episode of season 2. And you might be like, why season 2? What's the difference? Well, I'm just going to start by saying the timing is actually impeccable. The alignment is just extraordinary. Um, the reason that we are switching to season 2 is because of many different reasons. As you all know, there's been a change season in my life. There's been a lot of change in my life. And that also kind of inspired me to rethink about the direction I want to take with every aspect of my life. And it just happened, this opportunity came, and we're now with a different media company, Extraordinary Media. And really, it's a strategic direction which allows me to be exposed to more connections in the podcast world. Shane is still my editor, which makes me really happy. My editor and producer, which makes me really happy because he's just amazing. And also, it comes to a point where this year I was actually really planning to interview a lot more women in the different careers, different paths that they're working on. So it just feels right. Plus, my birthday is coming next week. Next Sunday is my birthday. So by the time you hear this podcast, it'll be the Sunday pretty much after the podcast is launched. So I'm super excited, and there's so many new things that I'm gonna be announcing for my birthday month. As you know, I don't do just a birthday day, I do a birthday month. Generally, because my birthday is in alignment with equinox, whether you're, it could be the spring equinox or the autumn equinox, depends on which part of the world that you are in. And I'm technically speaking, I'm a spring baby because I was born in the northern hemisphere in March. So I'm a spring baby. So for me, my birthday is always about newness. It's always about celebration. And I celebrate the whole month long just because that way I can get around. And I absolutely love it. So it's going to be a really exciting month kicking off next week. There are a lot of things I'm fine-tuning energetically in the background, making final decisions as to, the packages and the things and the specials and the directions that I'm taking various business into. So all I'm trying to say is I think the timing is just right. And it feels right. It feels aligned to start season 2 and just kind of refresh the brand a little bit. And also just done the intro to season 2, obviously. And if you have been a follower on my Instagram, you would have seen some Instagram stories talking about, what's coming up. And for me, this is really all inspired by a few posts I've been seeing on the socials lately. One is there's a famous early childhood education specialist who basically said, look, you should not be sending your kids to daycare before they were 3. And there's so many parents that are going, yes, that's a great idea. Any parents that does that is irresponsible. And I felt really hurt looking at it. I think one is because it's never an easy decision. We as a family decided that George, at 6 months old, we put him into daycare. I did make sure that he was able to sit, like at least, they can put cushions and things around him. So then there is a little bit of independence that way. So he's not sitting in a rocking chair all day, basically, which I love. But there's still days where I would drop him off and the mum guilt will still kick in. Or, I still feel that sense of sadness because if I have a choice, that would not be the way that I would do it, right? But for in our situation, that's something that I'm working towards every single day. And that's why I work hard to create what I am creating, because I want to have more time with my son, but also because I am a mom that doesn't trust the current education system, and it's always been Scott and my aspiration and dream to be able to homeschool our kids, or even open up a school in the style of Etkin Academy, so then we can leave. It's not just a legacy anymore for me. It's a movement for George and for his friends to be able to do things and learn things in a different way, and actually learn skills that are good for them in their own speed, and so they can come out the real world, have both book smart and street smart. And that's really my desire. For me, I've always been a book smart person, coming out of the school system. And it took me a very long time to become street smart, 20 years, right? And you guys know my story. Like, there's been, 10 years of reprogramming myself to become this current version of me. And my biggest inspiration and desire is to be able to pass down the knowledge that I've learned, not just to the mum and dads, but also to our next generation, so they don't have to work through what I had to go through. Hopefully that will reduce the suicide rate. Hopefully that will reduce the level of, depressions, anxieties, and all the mental stresses that many modern day people are facing. And hopefully that would reduce divorce rate. Hopefully that will reduce a lot of things. I just want to see people healthier, and that's really my biggest motivation, and that's what's driving me. It's interesting. Recently, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's also used to be a coach of mine, and she asked me a few questions, which is, because I was looking at a coaching program, and she asked me all these questions. She's like, "Well, why do you want to do it? What's your motivation? What's your 10-year goal? What's your, And I kind of, in the moment, answered all these questions that I didn't really realize that was really my underlying motivation. But at the same time, I was like, oh, interestingly, my motivation actually have changed. My motivation actually have changed through this, I guess, death and rebirth process. So that was one thing that got me really thinking. I'm like, why is it that we have to make mums, not necessarily dads, quite often it's moms, why do we have to make moms feel bad and guilty? Why do we have to shame them? Right? I think in this current community, in this current society, especially, I think if you're living in Australia, I'm just going to use Australia as example because that's where I'm in. I can't comment for any other country because that's not where I am. It's bloody hard to sustain a family, to support your family in, with one single income. It's bloody hard. And many of my colleagues and people that I speak to that has got double incomes in the family, they're still like, well, that is still hard. Right? There's mortgage to pay, there's food to put on the table. If you don't pay mortgage, there's rent to pay as well. So and the expenses are expensive. I know people who would be like, well, you don't have to live in Sydney. I don't. But the career path and the options are so much better in Sydney. We choose to live closer to the city because that allows us to spend more time with George and less time in travel. It's about choosing your battle and weighing up what's best for your family. And we are all doing our best as parents to create our own version of what's best for our family, right? So why do we have to make people feel guilty? Now, there's a different school of thoughts. People could be like, well, why? What? Don't have kids then. If you can't afford it, don't have kids. Well, then nobody will have kids. That's what I believe. If we all go like, well, if you can't afford it and don't have kids, then no one will have kids. But I truly, truly believe part of our responsibility as families, as family unit, as a couple that come together to create a family unit is to reproduce, right? That is part of our social responsibility. I know some people will be like, well, but I thought you were against single moms going through IVF. I am still against that. I know I'm going to get a lot of people criticizing me, but this is the traditional part of me. And I'm just going to go out there and say, I'm a very traditional person. And I truly believe a family unit. Look, I don't really believe, well, not that I don't believe, but, you know, I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Catholic. I believe I am a Buddhist. But even in the fundamentals of traditional Buddhist or Taoism teachings, a family unit is a father and mother, a man and a woman, and their kids. And that's what I believe in. Right? And so I truly believe as men and women who decided to come together as a couple, it is our responsibility. And yes, years ago, I didn't want to have kids, but I truly believe that's also why my marriage didn't work out, because I didn't believe at the time that it was safe for me and it was appropriate for me to bring a human being into this world because of the environment, because of a lot of the conditionings and mindset that was around me at the time. I knew that it was going to be a lot of conflict in terms of the way that I raised kids in that family, and that I wasn't willing to put another living person through that environment. That was my telltale sign that it was not going to work. And if you know my story, you know the journey that I had to go through to find myself and to find my truth. And after 10 years, finding my truth, finding that, hey, I actually enjoy being a mom. I can actually be a mom. I actually love kids. I love, I'm going to correct myself there. I don't love all kids. But what I love is to be able to influence, teach, inspire, and support our next generation. I'm very interested in creating the right environment, the right education environment, even through our language, through the way that we interact with our kids, to inspire them to be the best that they can. That's what I'm passionate about. That's what I love. And that includes giving them the right environment. And I believe the right environment is a mom and a dad with their kids. But that really brings me to the next thing about community. And that's what I believe, that as women, we need to support women. And as moms, we need to support moms. I was actually sitting in a lunch yesterday. I was invited by one of the industry colleague. I think we can call ourselves friends now, because it was her birthday yesterday, and she invited me to a lunch of people that she feel connected with in our industry, at work and outside of work. And I feel very honored, to be honest. And now also being in the Successful Woman Collective as a network that promotes women supporting women, I can really see the impact. I can really see the benefit when we can create a supportive environment that is actually supportive of working moms. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and reading a lot of posts around International Women's Day, because it's at the beginning of March, and at the time of recording this podcast, we're mid-March. And what got me really thinking is, in construction for many years, we are trying to bring in more young females into the industry. So we go to schools and we advocate for the industry, and we talk to young girls about coming into the construction industry. And you guys might have heard me talking about this in the past. I believe that is one strategy, but I believe there's a next step. Yes, you can bring in all of these skills in the entry level, but the reality is, what happens when we hit motherhood? I still remember one of my clients said to me once, he's like, once you hit motherhood, your career is over. At the time, a lot of people are like, well, you're so rude. And me being me, I don't really care. In fact, if you tell me that I can't do it, I'm just going to do it anyway and show and prove it to you that it's possible. And he is a real direct realist, I have to say, because that is the reality of many industries. And this derives from not enough flexibility in the roles available. And it's not just from a corporate level, it's down to society level. Like, there are so many women in construction networks, or, mums network that says that they support mums. But if you look at their meeting times, if you look at the events that they host, quite often they're not. Now, I may not have the solution for it now, but my desire is truly to create a community that we can truly support mums by helping them develop, and helping at corporate level develop flexible work arrangements that's suitable for mums, that allows them to be mums and be the amazing leaders in their business. And at the same time, have events and functions and educations and connection opportunities that are running in mum-friendly hours. I think that's the best way to put it. But I think there needs to be a communication. There needs to be a movement in this space where the corporate need to talk to the event organizers. And there needs to be an understanding that, networking is a way to build business. It doesn't matter what role you are in. And women are great networkers if you give them the right environment, if you give them right support, give them the right tools. And when women can support women, when they can communicate, when they can network, and when they can form communities, that's how they thrive. So that is my true desire. I haven't quite figured out exactly what I'm going to do with it, but there's going to be, all I can say is there's going to be some really exciting announcement coming up between end of March to end of April. But the purpose of this podcast is, number one, to introduce you to season 2, but more importantly, to, I think, start this conversation about women supporting women. What does true support looks like? Right? It's really, I think, we're all such good communicators. So true support to me is to, like what my friend did, arrange for a lunch gathering, catch up with other women, connecting women with women, supporting one another, and create it's really like that tribal mentality, isn't it? When a woman gives birth back in the days in the tribe, she's got the support of the entire tribe. And that's what I think we should really all create, if not for others, but for ourselves first, regardless. It was really interesting during the International Women's Day breakfast at Success Woman Collective. Julie Ockerby, our special guest speaker, spoke about creating the modern day family. And her modern day family isn't her blood family. Her modern day family are actually people who has supported her throughout her life. And I just love that concept so much. And I truly believe every single one of us need to create our own modern day family. And with that, that's my rant over. Welcome to season 2 of the Womanly Way podcast. I'm so excited with the lineup of speakers we already have coming up, and just like really sharing more thoughts around, building community, sharing notes around motherhood. And look, there's no right or wrong answers. No, really, all I'm asking all of you guys to do is to come in with an open heart, with an open mind. There will be things that you disagree with, right? There will be beliefs that you disagree with, but there are still things that we can take on and apply our own spin and twist and understanding to better our own lives. Actually, there's one more thing that I want to say is that, there's a lot of conversations around beliefs, around religion, around politics that's happening around us every single day. And quite often, a lot of people come to me and go, oh my God, I can't believe how polarized our world is. But you know what? If we actually literally take let's say if we take the agenda aside, if we take the color aside, if we take all of the surface level stuff aside, and just look at what is the fundamental message in all of this, and not look at things as good or bad, but instead we look at what can I learn from this, what essence can I take from this, and then decide whether this is the essence that I wanted to take on. I have a lot of friends around me that have met their come to Jesus moment, as my boss would call it, and decided to go back to Christianity or Catholicism. And there are, like, throughout my life, really, there are a lot of people that, has been talking about Jesus and God in my life. And what I have learned is I look at it and I go, I love the concept, I love the theory, I love the core essence of that. Yes, there are some of the things that perhaps doesn't sit well with me, perhaps that's not in alignment with my religion and my belief, but how can I take that? How can I take whatever feels aligned in their core essence, and how can I apply that to my life to make my life better? Perhaps in the Buddhism way, right? What is it that I can do to incorporate that into my daily practices as a Buddhist? And then what forgiveness can I give out? What energy can I give out to send to people or share with people who desire to have that energy? Because really the truest essence, the I guess at the core of things, I truly believe that all human beings are good, and all that we wanted to do is to create a better world. But perhaps we'll have a different version of what the better world is. So the womanly way is the same. There's no set ways of being or creating success or creating freedom or tapping into your feminine way. But what the womanly way is providing you with other people's stories and experiences and pathways. So you can look at it and go, is this a pair of shoes that I want to try on? And does it fit? Does it give me comfort? Does it tick all the boxes? And if it doesn't, it's okay to say to the shopkeeper, no, that doesn't quite fit. But if it is, then perhaps you want to buy it and add it to your collection. So welcome to season 2 once again. And I would really love to start the season with just this open communication and conversation, because there will be, when I open up the gate to interview people, there will be different opinions. There will be people who are teaching the same things, teaching the same teachings as me, or they are branded the same as me, but their theories different, their beliefs different, and I'm still going to interview them because I truly believe when we can open ourselves to different perspectives, we become better human beings, one way or another. And that is my desire for season 2 of the Womanly Podcast. That's my desire for humankind. It's my desire for my community. And with that note, I'm sending you all the good vibes and wishing you and your family all the best. Have an amazing week ahead, and I'll see you next week. Bye.